Wait, was sound on? No, right? Hello. A beautiful evening to you beautiful people. Hello, Apes. Hello, Triaga. Apes, did another goal was another goal scored? Is it 3-0 still? Oh my god, it is 4-0. Okay, but at 4-0, I think we can kind of agree that France is indeed the winner of the hearts, right? Right? Also, hi, Treehugger. And who else do we have? Prince, of course. Hello, Prince. So, today we're gonna try a little bit something a little bit different, not that different. I was thinking like of like just like doing some Reddit today, but I was thinking before we do like the typical like rest of the internet Reddit drama, we look at some developer content actually on Reddit. I searched like I picked out some posts that I found like mainly on web dev Reddit. Um, that we're just gonna chat about, but I will try to keep it not too technical, like keep it surface level, so it's not like um IT people only. But yeah, I just picked out some posts that seemed interesting, funny, or whatever, or applicable on multiple levels, basically. Um, all right, let's see. I do have this scene here for the Reddit stuff. And I will remember how to set it up for sure. Okay, wait, here, here, here. Yes. Wait, but I guess I probably. Wait, how? Now it's cut off. Wait, did I do this? No. I guess like this? Brittle, hello. Wait, maybe I just did. I have to ask, do you see like a weird border now around the browser window? It looks like that in my preview. Wait, I need to check the actual stream. No border? Okay, no, this looks good. Okay, this looks good. Cool. Awesome. A beautiful evening. Brittle, you're a web dev too, right? Something like that. Something of the sort. So, you know, this content may or may not speak to you. Wait, why though? I want. Yeah, this is actually what I want. There we go. Okay. Yeah, today, I don't know if you just joined. I was just about to explain that I picked out a little bit of web dev content that we're going to react to. But I will keep it not too, I will try to keep it more surface level, right? And not get too technical. On some of them, I might get a little technical. But yeah, this is like I only selected them based on the title. I did not look at the actual posts. The posts might turn out to be absolute boring or whatever. We'll see. We'll see. I just picked them out based on the title. So the first one is one developer, 3 layers of project management. My daily stand-up is a joke. And it's just sound like a title that probably not just developers, every like office worker can relate to on some level. I just realized how completely broken my mornings are and need to vent. I'm the only developer on this track. One guy writing code, yet every morning at the daily, I'm outnumbered 1, 2, 3 by managers. I mean, that is a pretty funny situation if you're like a single developer to being managed by 3 people. Here is the lineup. The account manager, sales PM. Oh, it's a German. Look at that, bro. It's a German. Vertrieb. The head of IT projects, their new boss brought in specifically to fix finances if I'm even 1 or 2 person days, like estimated days over the estimate. Or, yeah, I don't even know. Is person days a thing you say in English? So PT in German is like just the unit we use when we estimate, right? How long something takes. A person day is basically, oh, it's one person working a full day, which is like classically 8 hours. The meeting is literally me giving a 60-second update, followed by 14 minutes of them debating the financial impact of a minor estimation drift. I'm running a 1-2-3 builder to manage the ratio just to justify a couple of person days. Anyone else ever been the lone resource for an entire administrative ecosystem? That is pretty funny. You just call it work days. Okay, so, but okay, when you're asked to estimate something, right? So do you just say like, oh, this is gonna take 3 work days, and that implies it is 3 work days for a single person? Yeah, we call that person days. I see. Yeah, we call that person days, basically. But it is kind of funny, right? Like, oh, this is like a whole rabbit hole we could go into too, like estimations and person days, because obviously we both know that it is somewhat like it's obviously easier to guess for like a single person, but we both know like if you guess something to be like 30 work days, person days for a single person, right? It's not like you can throw like 3 people on it and all of a sudden it will take 10 days. Like, you know, like it's like the whole thing of like 9 women cannot birth a child in a single month, right? Like, so but I mean, yeah, the estimations thing is like a whole another rabbit hole of bullshit, right? But yeah, uh, so, but yeah, I guess the person days is not really needed because the logical estimation is generally based on a single person. But yeah, I'm almost a little bit sad about how short this post is. I would have loved to know a little more about what this person is doing. I mean, it does sound ridiculous. Like, so he's in a daily with the head of the IT as a single developer. Like, is he the single developer in this company? Um and they still have a head of IT that is managing a single developer, right? I know. I've not been in this situation really, but I have been like before, like long ago. I was like also like the single competent developer in an agency, but that's like 12 years ago or so. So at least I know that situation, being like the single developer that like kind of like does everything. But yeah, I can see it as a smaller company, right? But it is odd. Like it's super odd if you have one developer and one head of IT managing that one developer, right? Hey Prince, a beautiful evening to you. Like I can see how it happens in a small company, but it seems very odd. Tree hugger, how could you? You had a whole day. Okay, did you at least try Tree Hugger? Did you watch another episode? We can like I can you were too busy playing. Wait, you're playing FF13 again. You know, actually that might give you some earn you some points too. Are you still like are you playing 13 like the first game, or 13.2 or 13.3? Nature decided my natural light isn't important. Big storm again. Oh. Yeah, it is true, Britta. Like, it could also be that the head of IT is, in fact, the person that's just is the sysadmin that is just running the in-house servers. which we both know is like usually like the lowest level of IT, right? Even though they're also very important. Like when I say the lowest level of IT, it's not because they're not important. They are very important. They're running the internal systems, but usually like in terms of like they usually earn less. Like sysadmins usually earn less than developers. And honestly, many people just really don't know about that person even existing, right? Like they're like the unsung heroes um that still run the company single-handedly. Oh, you just finished chapter 7, the first game. Wait, so chapter 8 chapter 8, okay. If I remember correctly, Triaga, chapter 8 is actually where I started to enjoy the game. Before that, it was pretty shit. If I remember correctly, chapter 8 is where the game opens up for the first time. I mean, but you tried pretty often, honestly, then. It's not bad, Triaga, it's not bad. But yet, Trihager, look at the post. You know, you work in IT too, right? Can you relate to this? This guy is writing that he, as a single developer, is having his dailies with 3 people that manage him. The account manager, or yeah, like account manager honestly is not the best job description, I feel like, or not the most fitting. Like it's a salesperson, head of IT, and a boss managing the finances. Are you not? I thought you worked in IT too. No? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, I'm sorry. Like I've realized a while ago that actually like more than half of my viewers are IT people. It's probably like IT attracting IT or something, right? And I guess I just threw you in the bucket. Or rather, I just know like if I guess one of my viewers works in IT, I'm more often right than I'm wrong. So I will just stick to that. The statistics will work in my favor, okay? Who needs a brain if they can have statistics, right? That's basically what AI is, right? All AI also doesn't need a brain, just needs statistics. I mean, yeah, Brittle, for sure. That's the thing too. Obviously, lots of IT people around playing video games. Um, but I still feel like there is a truth of like as a streamer, you kind of attract people that obviously are on a similar wavelength, right? Like, so I still think there is some truth to that too. At least I noticed that when like you see like the communities around streamers. They're and I mean it makes sense, right? But yeah, anyways, pretty funny. Let's see what people are saying to this. Ask them how they managed to get the budget for 3 managers for that meeting into the project. Yeah, yeah, for real. For real. Um I wait, why are we at yoga now? 3 managers to 1 dev is rough. That stand-up isn't for you though. It's status theater for them, yeah. This is always Friday skit. Oh, it's okay, it's an actual YouTube video. I thought there was another interesting Reddit to dive into. I had 5 bosses on a project I was doing solo. Oh my god. So I like 12 years ago or so I worked in an agency, and I was not the single dev, but I was the single web dev, right? Like because the other 3 there, like 2 were Flash developers. I don't know if any of you remember Adobe Flash. Um Thank God it's gone, right? But back in the day, Adobe Flash, right? And I was working together basically with 2 Flash developers. They were doing commercial banners and animations in Flash, basically. They were not really developers because, yeah. they honestly they didn't know how to write code. They didn't know how to write code. They knew how to make animations in Flash. And sometimes when something didn't work on the code side of Flash, they asked me, right? And then the fourth guy was actually the Flash games were awesome, right? Like Flash had its good applications, right? For sure, right? But the problem is that everything turned into Flash over time. Mm, but yeah, basically those two were Flash developers. And then we had the head of IT as well. And I already back then, and he himself, our head of IT, joked about it, right? That we had a head of IT for like 3 people, right? But yeah, I was the sole web dev. And I was making like all kinds of things. Shiro Ryu, hey, a beautiful evening to you. How you doing? But yeah, so back then I would also do a lot of projects solo, but since it was an agency, it was like mostly small things. Like it was like Facebook apps, landing pages, raffles, mobile apps, like all like promotional stuff, and usually stuff that was only like had a pretty short living lifespan too. But in that context, I also had projects where basically I was doing it alone, and there was like a creative director, a marketing director, and like like so I had situations somewhat like this happen back then. But it wasn't like this sounds a little bit more ridiculous with like the boss even and the finances like but yeah, probably a small company. Shiro, um do you do IT? Do you do any coding, anything? We need to like prove the statistics here. All right, next one. Nah, god damn it. Guys, you're defying the statistics. But I think we're still somewhat good because Apes works in IT. So we have Apes and Brittle, on the IT department in chat. No, you're not the only one. Apes also works in IT. Apes is just a little bit distracted by football right now. But yeah, but she was here when I started stream. Wait, let me see. Is she's still listed as viewer. All right. Oh, another solo death story. Anxiety. This one sounds like it might be a bit more serious. What do we start in new league? To be honest, I think I'm just gonna wing it. I don't really like. I think I might just go a Scion, mercenary Scion, honestly, and just wing it. I don't know. I have no clue yet what skill or whatever. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I really enjoyed the PoE2 patch. I played it completely SSF, completely not following anything, and I really enjoyed it. We're all IT in our hearts. We're talking about Path of Exile, Triager. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think I just feel like kind of like winging and PoE1 as well. But I might not play SSF, just due to like in PoE1 it generally like takes a lot more grind to play an SSF. And I'm not sure I want to commit that time to the league. I'm not sure yet, so yeah, we'll see. So I still might play trade, but I think I'm just gonna wing it, honestly. I haven't decided on a main skill yet, but probably mercenary Scion, and maybe I will do some link shenanigans. You skipped PoE2? Really? It was incredible. And it was especially incredible after Mirage was so incredible too. So I was like so blown away how like they managed to like put out like 2 bangers back to back for PoE1 and PoE2. Yeah, it's but I mean you have a lot of time. PoE2 is gonna release end of year. You have a lot of time still to play it and try it out. And I think they wanted to do like some semi reset or some little patches in between before that, so you could wait for that. But yeah, it's The PoE 2 patch was incredible too. They're not quite 500, but I think it's like 300 something. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't worry about that, but what I can say is that PoE 2 is an incredible spot to play SSF. Like seriously, like it's it makes me like the balance, right? I would say the balance right now is perfect for SSF, where you really can like go and just play what you feel like playing. Don't look at a guide, just do your thing, and you will be able to beat all the content over time in a good time. Like I think like in like, you know, like even casually, like I really like the balance for SSF right now. I don't think it's optimal for trade. Like I think in trade you probably like can beat all the bosses in like 3 days or so easily. I don't know. But I feel like for SSF it's incredibly fun. It's really fun to do all the content, to do all the quests, to collect everything. Like the end game right now in PoE 2 feels really fucking good for SSF specifically. I think for trade currently it lacks a little bit of challenges probably. So I'm extremely happy that I played SSF. For me, it took me like I think it's hard to say because I didn't have that much time to play, but probably it took me a bit over a week to like kind of like complete the base bosses, right? The quest versions. But yeah. Um Anyways, anxiety on burnout as a sole in-house web dev. This sounds like another story. Like it's actually crazy how many companies have like this one dev, the dev for everything, um carrying their whole business. Um, I mean, they are doing a lot to make PoE 1. Like, they even said this in the recent interview that, like, of course, PoE 1 is also for the existing players, but they do try also to make PoE 1 more approachable too. Yeah, Brittle, the one sysadmin is GigaCommon. So I actually have a story about this. The one sysadmin, right? Like, I can obviously not name which company, but I actually know a really fucking big company that basically I only like got in touch with it because it was actually about replacing a very old system, right? And we learned that that very old system, that old, like, that was like, okay, I learned about this like 10 years, no, I don't know, something about that 10 years ago or so. That very old system at that point was already like 20 years old, right? And that one very old system that we were meant to replace, I kid you not, was running at home of a guy in his pension in his basement. He was retired. He was not working at the company anymore, but that old system he was still hosting from his basement. And it needed to be urgently replaced because if he was to die or to get dementia or whatever, the company basically would be screwed. Like that was probably the most urgent project I've ever done. Like it was like it was literally about life and death. It might have been the only project I did that was about life and death. The way I understood it, like I don't know the full I didn't know the full history of it, but basically the what happened was that that guy had worked for the company very, very long, right? And once he went into retirement, they had nobody to maintain the system or, you know, and he basically said the only way he would keep maintaining it is if he could do it from home. Right? And I don't actually know for how long he had already maintained it from home, but for quite some years. Basically, he was in retirement and he was maintaining it from his basement. But yeah, it was was crazy. Like that was like one of the craziest stories. Like it was a big client too, like big company. Obviously, it wasn't like all their systems or something, right? It was a subsystem. Like it was basically some data, right? But it was important data. Like if this was lost, they would be screwed over, right? It was important data. It was a subsystem with very important data. Um, yeah, and it needed to obviously be replaced because, yeah, literally super crazy. Like depending on a guy and on like on a guy in retirement that has it running in his basement. Mm. But yeah, shit like that happens, right? And the thing is that these kind of people, these like single cis admins and shit, right? They're actually like honestly they're parasites, right? In a way, because they will build like these systems with like very custom scripts and tooling and shit, right? That make them self irreplaceable. But they're not necessarily malicious parasites either, right? Because it's also the company's fault for putting all the responsibility and way too much work on like this single person, and this single person also doesn't get the opportunity to, you know, go out, touch grass, and learn some more. Basically, they're just sitting in this one company for 20 years, and they're basically um operating on knowledge that's also 20 years old because they're only working by themselves. They are overworked. They don't have time to actually learn. They don't have co-workers that give them feedback, right? Like, so it's kind of like a, they're parasites, but it's not necessarily malicious parasites. Like, it's also like companies also create with the circumstances and the context these parasites themselves. How's the weather for me? Right now it's very nice. Today was like 21 degrees Celsius, but it has been pretty hot. It has been pretty hot. But no, today, honestly, very nice. Like it's cooled, actually cooled down just today. 21 degrees. It's like amazing. Very nice. But we had some very high temperatures here, obviously, in the heat wave. But yeah, sure. All I can tell you, I mean, now it's obviously PoE 1 time next week, but for real, like you definitely should play PoE 2. For many people, actually, not necessarily for me, right? But for many people, actually, now say like PoE 2 now beats for them PoE 1. For me, I wouldn't say that is the case yet, but I think but it's for the first time that I'm seeing things in PoE 2 where I'm like, hey, I want them to do that in PoE 1, right? Like I'm finally like really seeing things, especially in the end game of PoE 2, that is so new and so cool that I'm like, crazy, like please can we have some of that in PoE 1, right? Like it's for the first time really that I see like real cool things in PoE 2 where I'm like, we need that in PoE 1, right? I still think PoE 1 is still for me ahead, just because of the sheer amount of content. And but and like I still am not a fan of like the how long the campaign is in PoE 2. I don't think I will ever really truly, I think that will always be my biggest gripe, honestly, right? Like because there is so many builds I would like to play in PoE 2, but I just I'm not willing to play the campaign over and over. Overwatch in 2026? I mean, if you play the PoE 2 campaign for the first time, it is crazy much longer. You will get faster with it too, right? But the first time you play it, you will probably spend like 50 hours in that campaign. Um, there is like speed runs, like you can complete it fast, but it's still, it is still a lot more. but it is a cool campaign. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, the first time you play the campaign of PoE 2, it's incredible, right? I love the campaign for like a first time experience. It has a great story. It's very cinematic. Like, it's incredible. 15 hours the first time you played the PoE 2 campaign? That's pretty fast for was that when it was 3 acts? Because it's now 4 acts? Okay, yeah. Okay, because I was about to say, like, first time 15 hours would be pretty fast. But yeah, I mean, it's I would say this league you will be actually, I don't know, it's hard to say. I think for me it was a bit faster just because of power level, but guess depends what build you play. Like, nothing really changed, not much changed about the campaign. There's a little bit of extra through the new league content. That's it. But yeah. All right. I've been working as the only web dev for an e-commerce brand for just under a year. Previously worked at an agency in a small technical team. There's about 70 people in the company with 8-figure turnover. Okay. Millions of sessions per month across several sites. London based but remote. I get paid about 40,000 pounds. That sounds indeed pretty little if you're like the only developer in that company. What is that in euro? What is that in euro? 40k pound to euro. Oh my god! That is so little. Brittle? I mean, as a single dev in a company with 70 employees, this is very little for a developer. That is how much you make. Okay, so over here in Germany, it really matters on where you live, right? Like, this is like here where I live, this is a junior is making that basically. This should be yearly. This should be monthly. Jesus Christ. Please introduce me, Shira, to the developer who makes this monthly. Oh my god. No. This is obviously yearly. But like here, okay, here for okay. No, there is juniors that make less than this. How old are you? No, I'm just really curious now about your living context. That you think that 47k a month is a potential salary. Like 47k a month is a okay, you're 27, is like a not normal salary. That is like, if you're making 47k a month, it's because you're like in like you're famous, you're in like maybe a big football player. Like, this is like rich. Like, this is nobody in a normal working position makes 47k a month. Oh, it's not your native currency. Yeah, this is about 50,000 US dollar a month. Like, but yeah, like, yeah, okay. It's fine. Like, maybe you need to translate it, but like, just to be clear, right? Like, for a monthly salary, right? For a monthly salary, if you make a tenth of this, that's a good monthly salary, right? So if you make 4,700 a month, that's after taxes. That is like, past taxes, that is a really good monthly salary. A tenth of this, right? Just to put it into perspective. But yeah. Rubies. We can try to translate this to rubies. Is it... Wait. No, that's not rupees, right? This is how you write it, right? Am I... No. Oh my god, Triaga. Wait, Russian. Oh shit. Okay. Sorry. Oh my the stones. Oh my god. I'm gonna like no. Okay, wait. Russian like this. Okay, there we go. Oh, I mean that's also funny, Triaga. True. But yeah, this would be the Russian ruble amount, and I guess is that even how you pronounce it? I'm sorry. I feel so fucking uneducated right now. But yeah. And I mean, obviously I don't know much about Russian economy obviously, but uh I mean, I would assume this is also not something you make in a month in Russia unless you're like super rich. Mm. But yeah, I'm just gonna okay, so I get that, Shiro. I get that. But yeah, basically, so um in the area I live in Germany, like I live in Hamburg, which is it is an IT city. It is a pretty rich city. It is a pretty expensive city to live here. Like we have high rent and stuff. So here generally you are earning at least 50,000 a year as a developer. But to be fair, there is probably juniors that earn less for sure. And also, if you're working in small companies, there's probably people that earn less. But I was just talking about the context of this person being the single developer in a 70-man company, right? Like somebody who's that important to your company should not earn as little, but I guess it depends a little, like also like where you live. Like, do they live in London or do they live like more in the rural area, right? Oh, you live in St. Petersburg. Cool. Yeah, that is really cool. I mean, I've never been there, but supposedly. But yeah, the so like Brill, do you live in a more rural area or do you live like, I don't know, Copenhagen? Because I would think that 47K is probably not great to live in Copenhagen either, right? Like it's probably like, you know, a little bit tight for Copenhagen too, no? Yeah. So, but I think you would agree that if you were to live in Copenhagen, it probably needed to be a little bit higher, right? Because I think Copenhagen, I've been in Copenhagen, right? And Copenhagen seemed to be on a similar level as Hamburg in terms of how expensive it is, right? Yeah. Because I don't want to say that 47K is like definitely like a bad salary. Obviously, it's very difficult, especially speaking about internationally, because it always comes down to where you live, right? Like, and there's areas here certainly where that is a good salary too, right? Like, it's just where I live. It's pretty expensive, and it's an IT city, so um in Hamburg, the dev salaries are pretty high. A good comparison also for that is, and why I know also that Hamburg developer salaries are pretty good for German standards, is because I actually compared it to salaries in Sweden, right? Because Mink is from Sweden. Um, and I would have actually earned less in Sweden, right? And Sweden is generally a higher income country than Germany, and also, on the more expensive side, but I would have still earned less as a developer there, right? Like, just because the standard here where I live is pretty high for developers. How much Texas takes away from that 40K in Germany? It's about 30%. It's not like there's some factors to it, to how much it exactly is, right? Like, we have like tax brackets, right, based on how much you earn. So generally, the more you earn, the more taxes you pay to until a cap, right? So it's not like, but I think but like, if you take 30% of it, you're gonna be somewhat close to it, basically. Yeah. Why is it capped? Yeah, that is a social debate we can start here, right? But basically, the idea is that you don't make rich pay infinite taxes, right? Um, yeah, it's this is like a again a social debate, right? And good night, Ming. Good night, Prince. This is like a social debate, but basically, you have to ask yourself. So obviously, it would be better for society if the rich always paid more taxes, right? I think most people would agree to that stance. The one reason to not make rich pay taxes uncapped on their income is that you want rich people to stay in your country. Oh yeah, Munich is a very expensive city too, Brittle. Munich is pretty similar to Hamburg, so the salary defaults are pretty similar, Munich and Hamburg, for IT. But yeah, the one reason why you decide to cap taxes is basically to have rich stay in your country, right? Um, if you don't want the rich to move their money offshore, right? You make it somewhat attractive for them to stay. Yeah, that's on top of it, that the truly rich, they have secured their assets anyways, their money, like their wealth anyways. That is a thing too. Generally, like, I'm also not a fan of the capped taxes, especially how it is now, because right now in Germany, I mean, yeah, Shiro, like, it's I don't think it's quite as crazy for the big cities in, oh, maybe it is. Nah. Like, if you compare like the lowest income versus the highest income, there's also a 50% difference in Germany. Like, East Germany, for example, has a way lower average income than West Germany still, even though we're not separated anymore, right? But it's still, West Germany is still the rich side of Germany. Um, but yeah, in Germany, if I remember correctly, you're already reaching the cap on taxes when you have 8,000 or so a month after taxes, something like that. It was like something like 8,000 after taxes, which would be, I don't know. Is that maybe when you earn like 120K or so a year? I don't know. Something like that. It is honestly not that much, considering like the super rich, right? But yeah. Um all right. So, there was previously another dev who was also my manager, but they've started working on another part of the business and I now do this alone. Since then I've been okay, so he's actually not the only dev in this company. He's just working alone on whatever he's working on right now. Yeah, it should be a bit over 100K. Which is like obviously a very good income, don't get me wrong. right? Like we would consider somebody with that income here. Like, funnily enough, for Americans, 100K doesn't sound that crazy because in America, actually, IT does have higher salaries than here. Mm. But obviously, we do consider somebody here with over an income of over 100K. Like in America, you also have to pay for more shit from that 100K. But yeah, over here, 100K, obviously very wealthy, right? But still, if you compare it to the super, super rich, right? It's actually not that much. Like if you look at the actual like celebrities, the super rich businessmen and stuff, like that's actually they actually make quite a bit more than that. But yeah. Um since then I've been struggling with anxiety. And before I jump ship, I'm trying to gauge whether I'm overreacting or not, as I've lost calibration on what's normal. In the past few months, I've been contacted out to work. Wait. I've been contacted out of work hours 7 or 8 times for various things. Some are, this is broken and we need you to log on and fix it. And some are just, CEO has said we should do this, please note. These are straight to my personal number, either via call or text. Okay, this sucks. This sucks. And how did they get you a personal number? Because, okay, I don't know, like, honestly, I don't know the laws around this shit. I also don't know where this person is from. Well, pounds, they're from UK. But over here, generally, even though the personal, like the HR has your number, as far as I know, they're not allowed to just give out your number to your co-workers. But if you're working in a smaller company, I don't know, like, but like I know that normally if you work in bigger companies, the HR is not just gonna give out your number, and even the boss is not just gonna be able to contact you on your personal number without asking for it. But yeah, okay. I have Teams silenced past 5 and on weekends. Okay, 5 is a little bit early, maybe. Okay, are these 7, 8 times between 5 and 6? I need to know. But sometimes can't help check them as it's just what's done here. For example, it's Saturday and this morning I check and I see it been tagged. Okay, this is his fault or her fault. Do not check your teams on the weekend. Like, it doesn't matter who texts you. Like, this is how, like I don't know, like just don't check your WhatsApp, just don't check your Facebook, just don't check your Discord when you don't want to be disturbed by it, right? Like, I don't know, like if you're checking your Teams, Slack, whatever, your corporate work communications on the weekend, that's on you. You just don't log in, right? Like, why are you logging in? That is on you. I don't even think there's anything wrong with people tagging you on the weekend. They shouldn't expect you to look at it on the weekend anyways, right? But yeah. I checked and I saw it been tagged in a large group chat, both by the CEO and my manager, asking about the cause of an issue. I haven't had any texts yet, but it puts me on edge for the whole day, almost waiting for them to ask me to do something. Okay, this is on him. This is on him or her. At my previous job, I wasn't contacted a single time outside of work in 3 years and could fully switch off after 5. At the moment, though, even though 90% of the time nothing is going wrong, I can't stop thinking about the possibility of a bug in production that someone is going to message me about. How long? Does it say how long he's been working there? Just under a year. 7 or 8 times. Yeah, like I don't, it's not really clear. Okay, so this says I've been contacted out of work hours for various things. No, it sounds like he did get some messages straight to his private number, but this shit, like checking Teams on the weekend, is fully on him. Like, why are you logging on? Like, why, right? Like, I don't know, like I they're obviously not in a healthy mental state, right? If they're this stressed about their job. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I've been working for so long. But I've been working for how long now? Like 15 years. Over fifth I've been like professionally done with my education, working as a developer for over 15 years now, right? I guess I'm just like completely like indifferent at this point. Like if I don't want to be disturbed, I just don't check your like. Why are you logging in on weekend, right? Like I don't know. Like that's just like it's kind of like the thing is, I feel like put it into perspective, right? How do you think nurses or doctors are feeling that are literally like doing work that saves lives, right? Um like I'm always a big fan of putting our work into perspective. This is not about life and death. I don't know what kind of software they're doing, right? But usually it's not about life and death. So, like, put it into perspective that what you're working on is just a software. Log off on the weekend, don't check Teams on the weekend. And honestly, if they keep bugging you, though, I have to say 7 or 8 times it's yeah, I don't know, get a new number. Honestly, get a new number, just or at least tell them please don't contact me on the private number, right? Like I don't know, like but even if they do, like this will sometimes happen. I've had this happen too, but you really need to learn to put your work into perspective. Like it's not about life and death. It's not about it's just not. And there will always be bugs, there will always be important issues, there will always be CEO people dancing the panic dance, right? Um put it into perspective. No, this is actually my natural hair color. I'm an almost albino. I don't know if you can tell, but even my eyebrows are that color. They're barely visible because they're also that bright color. And my eyelashes are too, but I use mascara. Or do you even say mascara in English? But I use basically, right? Yeah, I'm not an albino, but I'm almost an albino, and I do have some of the issues that come with it. Like I have very sensitive skin, but I do have normal eyes. I do have normal blue eyes. Yeah. So, but yeah, my eyelashes are also naturally that blonde. I actually, in the past, I sometimes dyed my eyelashes cause of Binding of Isaac. Gaming education for the win. Am I right? Brill, I'm very indifferent, but I know people who definitely aren't and do work at, yeah, like, the thing is, people are also workaholics, right? For sure. And also, young people, this person probably is pretty young, I would say, right? Young people tend to, they tend to really wanna, impress, and like I was like that too in my early 20s. In my early 20s I worked a lot of over hours, and I literally, like, when somebody said jump, I jumped. I did everything, right? But over time you just learn that um it's actually like, if you like, people are not the working world is harsh, right? If you gonna do everything right, like, it's not gonna be appreciated. You're not gonna get they're not gonna come to you and be like, hey, do you want to have like 500 more euro every month? No, like, you have to go to them and you have to ask to get more money. You have to ask for the promotion. They are gonna abuse the shit out of your diligence and motivation, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't do good work. You should do good work, 1,000%. And I do have still high standards when I work in a team for people generally, because I still have a lot of passion for my work and enjoy my work. I think work is most fun if everybody actually wants to deliver something good, right? That is how work is the most fun. So I'm not saying you should slack off or anything, right? But like uh but you also like gotta think about how you want to be treated and how you want others to be treated, and you gotta live by that, right? um It depends on the project too, I guess. I know in some B2B software, the contract states mandatory uptime and service deadlines for critical problems. And if it's not met, the business pays a fine. Yes, but obviously, I understand that, right? 100%. But um, I don't know. Sometimes it's also like just the management's fault, right? For signing contracts like that and stuff like that, right? Like you cannot be as a single person responsible for shitty business decisions. Sleepy, another IT person has joined the chat. Thank God we're the statistics stand true again. More deaths than non-deaths. No, you still all appreciate it, all non-IT people. But yeah, no, it's just because I earlier mentioned how there seem to be more IT people watching than non-IT people. Um, but yeah, I think this person is probably pretty young. Um, and even that example that you're listing, Brittle, right? It's still not about life and death. Like, always put it into perspective, right? Like, I get it. Again, I used to be like that too. In my early 20s, I worked my ass off, wanting to be recognized and appreciated and wanting to become a better developer, right? These were my main driving factors: appreciation, learning, but it's kind of like actually not how the world works, right? Like, at the end of the day, yes, you are gonna get appreciation, but you're not gonna be just quietly promoted or quietly getting that salary increase. That's something you have to proactively chase that anyways. What if your company makes medical equipment? Yeah, no, you're right, Brittle. That's why I said most of the time there is cases where it actually might be about life and death, right? And obviously, when it comes to that, like, I do not envy also doctors, nurses. I do, but like, as a developer, like, I always like to soothe myself with the fact that, like, hey, I'm not a doctor. I'm not, like, my stuff isn't about life and death, right? And that's always like soothing to like level with what I'm doing. But there is rare cases where you might be doing something that is as critical, and then, I don't know, like, go smoke some grass or something. That's all I have. Okay. Go have a joint or something. I don't know. Yeah, rest is important. Um you probably, like, this is also a thing, right? Like, that I've learned over time is like, you're not gonna, like, obviously, like, the quality of work you're doing is not gonna be good if you're just overworked all the time, right? Like, when I like for me personally, over the years, like, I've worked, like, whenever I do stuff in the evening, right, it's usually like I do like like dumb stuff, like, that doesn't require much brain power, right? Because I know that at the end of the day, like, after like 5 or 6 p.m., I usually like won't be as fresh anymore, like, to come up with the greatest ideas of how to implement things. Do you drink regular water? Yes. That is my regular water, but, like, I almost always have 3 drinks actually. So, coffee, water, and then today, like, we often have a soft drink too. Today, this is I'm not sponsored, I swear. This is actually Club Mate. I don't know if you know mate tea. This is a lemonade based on mate tea with a lot of caffeine and berries. This is a berry variant. Yeah, Brittle, that is like honestly super fair, right? Like not wanting to work on that to exactly avoid that kind of stress. Yeah, Sleepy, that's and like that's the thing, right? Like you also learn just like that um actually working 12 hours a day isn't gonna produce great quality, especially now in times of AI, right? Like um I feel like if you're gonna like put out like 12 hours of labor every day, at that point you probably might as well use just have AI coded away, right? Because um half of what you're producing is probably not gonna be very good. My girlfriend went to Germany to study as switch student. Oh yeah, there's student exchange programs. And all the water they gave was carbonated water. I've Okay, there is something I think your girlfriend then didn't know about Germany, and maybe you don't know either. So, actually, in Germany is one of the few countries that has separated systems for fresh water and sewage water. We can drink water straight from the tap. This is straight from the tap. Germany has drinkable tap water, and actually, by law, it needs to be drinkable. And this is why, like, generally, like, you can also buy uh, non carbonated water, but most people don't because you can just get the water from the tap. Hmm. Like, you can still buy it, but it's not as common because there's no reason to buy non carbonated water because you can just drink it from the tap. But yeah, Germany is one of the few countries. I know Sweden is like that too. Denmark probably as well, right, Brittle? Or how's Denmark? Does Denmark also have drinkable tap water? No wonder you go to the bathroom a lot. Hey, but it's been good in the recent streams, no? Well, Sleepy, it's still not very like. Yes, in the store there is uncarbonated water too, but if you go to people's homes, most do not have uncarbonated water at home. I don't know. Should I know? Wait, you don't know if your tap water is drinkable? Denmark, tap. Shit, what is it? Tap water or tap water? Tap water, safe to drink. Yeah. Look at that, Brill. Have you been buying your water? Wait, you don't live in Denmark? Wait, were you not from Denmark? Shit. Wait, Netherlands? But why, Sleepy? Why aren't you just drinking tap water? Wait, Brittle, Netherlands? Are you from Netherlands? Wait, you're from Germany? I don't know. I wait. Why did I have you as Denmark? But well, I guess you're from Germany. Funny. But Sleepy, then you're like mixing up what we were saying. Mineral water is carbonated water. Uncarbonated water is stilles Wasser, quiet water. Tap water has minerals too, Sleepy. What are you talking about? if you're not referring to mineral as carbonated, then I'm not sure actually what you're talking about. Because tap water has minerals too. Maybe the quality where you live is not good, but I mean, okay, here, like where I live right now, the water quality is amazing, but I also live actually right next to uh well water protected water well area. But when you say I switch to mineral water, you don't mean carbonated, right? Because in German we say mineral water to water that is carbonated. Yeah, maybe. Actually, yeah, Shiro is right. It sounds like you might need magnesium tablets. Yeah, we're living right next to a water reservoir and also a water um um factory. Ladies and gentlemen, I live next to a water factory. I'm sure that's what it's called. No, it's fine, Sleepy. It's fine. I mean, I am aware that obviously the quality of tap water does differ based on where you live. Also, if you live like in older buildings and stuff, there might be also more like calc in it and stuff. Distillery. Wait, distillery sounds like they're making alcohol, Apes. Also, Astralis, a beautiful evening to you. Yeah, it is a thing. I know, but it's like distilled water is the water you have like in your lava lamp. Right? It's the wrong kind of magnesium you'd need as an athlete. Hmm. The wrong kind of let's not go into it, but I'm pretty sure on the table, like on that like table that we learn like in chemistry, right? Like the table of elements, there's only one type of magnesium on there. Just saying. Just saying. I don't think there was a second type of magnesium on it. But yeah, how do I choose what to drink? It's honestly generally like just needs caffeine. I'm a coffee addict for sure. And if I like at time like okay, sometimes I drink tea when I'm not feeling as good, you know. But no, I generally just drink a lot of water, honestly. And then for soft drinks, I do like Club Mate a lot. Like I actually have a box of it here, and like it usually looks like this. Here, but the one I have right now is a berry variant of it. But yeah, I'm a massive fan of it. It has a lot of caffeine and it's not too sweet. Besides that, I don't know. I just but yeah, this is my main lemonade drink, I guess, that I like to drink. But yeah, besides that, it's just coffee and water, really. Magnesium has three stable isotopes, although that is not the problem with the magnesium we get in supermarkets. You know, Sleepy, I really can't tell if like we're like in some esoteric if we're going into some esoteric areas here or or it's actually a thing, right? But like we'll just not get in we'll just not get into it, okay? We'll just not get into it. Um yes, I have. I have, Shiro. I have I like it too, but I don't like it as much as like I don't know what you have in Russia, right? Like because this is a German beverage, right? So I don't actually know if you have in Russia any like mate based lemonade, right? Um but yeah, I like it has a very unique like it's refreshing. It has a lot of caffeine. It kind of acts like an energy drink, but it's not sweet and bubblegum tastes like energy drinks, you know? Oh yeah, we have kombucha too. Do you also pronounce it kombucha in Russian? I don't know actually in English. What is kombucha in English? Is it just also kombucha? Kombucha? Do you say kombucha in English? I don't know. But we have that too. We also have lemonades based on kombucha. Um that's it's better not go into it deeper, but this is actually scientific consensus. Okay, okay. I will believe you, Sleepy. I will believe you that you're talking from scientific knowledge, okay? just one question, Sleepy. Is esoteric science? All right. Anyways, but yeah, kombucha, we have two, and actually, my mom, when I was little, my mom was growing her own kombucha in the basement. We had like our whole basement was full of jars of her growing kombucha herself. Okay, so I actually have a very intense history with it. But then she eventually learned that it actually the fermenting produces a little bit of alcohol too. So she used to basically give me some of it, but then she learned, oh, that actually the fermenting produces some alcohol too. So you shouldn't give it to your children if you make it yourself. Yeah, but yeah. Also, Astralis, I think you need to fix your keyboard. You're doing the German ZY thing, QWERTZ versus QWERTY. But yeah. All right. Um but yeah, when I had friends over, Shira, it was like friends were like spooked the fuck out when they went to the basement and they saw all the jars. Like it wasn't like as well known at that point. I feel like all my friends in school had no clue what those were. I know you're on TV. I see, I see, I see. All right. But yeah, this person, I think very young, needs to really like level out about it and like don't log on the weekend, right? It doesn't matter who's mentioning you on the weekends, like just don't log on the weekends. No, it's the other way around, Shiro. Z is very uncommon. Oh no, wait. Yeah, no. It is that way around. Yes, Z is very common, and Y is extremely uncommon in German. So on German keyboards, they swapped Z and Y. Because yeah, Y is extremely uncommon in German. Sleepy, you prefer talking about politics instead? But yeah, okay. Let's see what the next one is I picked out. Yes, that is the sure. That is the main difference. Like I can actually wait. I don't know if it will be visible. I mean, I guess the easier way would probably be to just Google up a picture. But do you see that on the top, the quartz? Besides that, it's the same. But then over there to the right, we have the special characters all in different places, and we have like our special characters. Your shift is small. Oh yeah, this, I mean, my keyboard is also a compact keyboard. I love compact keyboards, like, you know. But yeah. All right. Maybe it's time for another fun Reddit story. Yeah, I don't know, like I already forgot. I picked these out before stream just based on title, just some random posts to look at. How do you actually put a website online? AKA, oh, chat. I picked out a story for the non-IT people in chat. AKA dumbest person asked the dumbest question you've ever heard. Look, chat. This is a question for the non-IT people. I have a Alice layout. Alice layout? I'm not sure. Have I heard of Alice layout? What's Alice layout? Or is that a mistypo? Alice layout keyboard? Oh, that layout. Oh yeah, I love that. I love that. That's very I like that layout too. I actually used to have a similar layout like this when I was younger. Apes, the match ended 4-6. Wow. Huh. So they almost did turn it around. So are they the winner of the hearts, apes? You know? You click the HTML file and it opens in Chrome, then it's online, yeah. Honestly, okay, I'm gonna give you my honest best way today for you to put your website online, right? Like, first of all, you just ask AI to write it for you, right? Just ask AI to make you an HTML file. So basically, ask AI to make you a fully static, this is important, it needs to be fully static website, okay? And then once you have that fully static website, you just use GitHub Pages to host it. Done. Just get hired and replace their website with yours, yeah. Check out my websites at localhost 5678. But no, seriously, I can highly recommend if you want to get any website online, just use GitHub Pages. And honestly, just for creating like static pages, AI is very capable of that. So honestly, if you don't have a clue, just ask AI, hey, I need a static page. Tell it what you want to display on that page. Tell it you want to host it at GitHub Pages, and it will even be able to do that for you. Wow, apes. What a hater. But yeah, I actually just recently, so I made some websites a long time ago, right? One of them is, for example, this website here, Xenoblade.org. This website I made in 2011 originally, right? And back then, this was a WordPress site. This was a WordPress site with WordPress PHP plugins to put in all this data. This is like, it's a German site, but it's basically for Xenoblade Chronicles, like all missions, all like it's not useful if you're not German, but like yeah, there's also like here like where the people are and stuff like that, right? Like it's for Xenoblade Chronicles. Anyways, this was originally a WordPress site. At some point, obviously, I need a static page, so I made a static page out of it, and this is now hosted via GitHub Pages, actually. And the only cost I have is the domain. That is the only cost I'm having. I don't need any provider to host this. I just use GitHub Pages. I'm not gonna go into how it exactly works. Basically, you upload it to Git and then, but like you can just ask AI, really. For like static pages, AI is very capable of that. Is it that game that Zelda advertises as Islanders sometimes? Wait, you don't know Xenoblade Chronicles? No, Xenoblade Chronicles is the greatest JRPG of all time, Shiro. I don't know, do you have a Switch? If you do, so the original game came out for Wii, but there is a definitive edition of it on the Switch available. And yeah, it is the greatest JRPG of all time. It just is. Yeah, it's surprising, right? How niche it still is. Even though it's the greatest JRPG of all time. No, React would work with GitHub pages, Sleepy. JavaScript works. JavaScript works. When I say static page, it like JavaScript works, like it just can't have a backend, right? No server code. No server code. That's the what I say. But everything JavaScript works. And like yeah. Like so wasn't sure how static. Yeah, no. All JavaScript works. Like here, the other side that is also this side. This next one is for Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I made. This page I made in 2015, so like 11 years ago. And this website is actually AngularJS, which was the first Angular version. And the backend used to be a Symfony PHP REST API. This is now a fully static page, but if you go here, if we go here, for example, it still is using AngularJS. Like the front end hasn't changed basically. It's but the way it now works, right, and how it became static is actually that I replaced the backend API with static JSON. You, Sleepy, should understand what that means, right? But basically, it still uses the same like front end with AngularJS, but instead of receiving the data from a backend, it now just has static JSON, right? And that's how I basically refactored it to be a static front end only website. And there's no PHP backend anymore. And it's also hosted on GitHub pages. The only downside on hosting on GitHub pages is, and you should be aware of this, is your repository on GitHub, so the code of your website needs to be public unless you get a paid account on GitHub. What that means is, do not put any passwords or secrets into your code, please. Right? Yeah, just as a light warning, okay? Just as a light warning. But yeah, besides that, I really can highly recommend, like, whenever you want, like, just like some website, even some meme, right? Just wanna put some meme online, GitHub pages is great for that. Yeah, my passwords are all safely hidden directly in the HTML tags. But yeah, let's see how this person is asking about how to put a website online. Hello, lovelies. Ooh. Hi, lovely. I'm a hobbyist author looking to make a website online to independently publish my books to readers. I have the writing part sorted, but no website. ChatGPT will help you. I've created a plan of how I want my website's UI to look using a website called Odoo, but I would prefer Odoo. I've never heard of this one, but I would prefer to purchase my own domain name and publish the site independently from a company. Wait. He wants... Okay, wait. This is actually different. He wants to host a website online independently from any company. He wants to make his own internet, guys. Dr. Mo! Hey! A beautiful evening. I'm sorry, Dr. Mo. I wrecked your streak. I wrecked it. Read the next paragraph. Does it get better? For your interest, not independent as in not using... Okay. But using sites such as Squarespace, Wix... Okay. God damn it. It was getting interesting here for a second, okay? They're technically hosts, but drag and drop platforms such as these often come at a high price if you want to do drag and drop platforms. I'm sorry, this is mean. This is mean. But as an IT person, drag and drop platform is so fucking funny. You can host on your PC, no? Technically, yes. So this is why I was like saying it's funny. Like, so technically you can make your PC publicly available, right? But you would still need a domain, like, or something. Otherwise, people would only be able to reach you via having like the exact IP address. But also, for many reasons, you don't really want to do that, right? Like, because like if you make your PC publicly available, right? Um, you're very vulnerable, very very vulnerable. So usually that's a bad idea. But yeah, you would be accessible via IP. But if you want an actual domain, you will still have to register a domain. And technically, you also can register a domain without using a provider. That is possible. It's a lot of work, but you can do it. You can register a domain for yourself by the like. There is like different based on like the country and domains. Like for example, German domains have their own service where you do that, right? And like their own laws. But basically, if you want a German domain, you can without a provider set up a domain, a German domain. It is possible. And then you can also basically have your own name server to route basically your IP or, you know, that domain to your IP. But yeah, technically possible. This is why it was interesting for a second, but generally not recommended. Like, especially now, really not recommended. Just use GitHub pages. No, this is meant to go public. They want to publish their books publicly, right? On the internet. But yeah, however, I'm not exactly familiar with the process. I was taught how to do some basic coding in JavaScript through a course, but now realize that I don't know where the code should be going. This is such a typical beginner hole, basically. You start learning some coding, but you don't really understand like how actually the infrastructure works of servers, of code, and what to actually do with the code, right? Like it's a conundrum that many learners go through, like of like I've learned what a condition is. I've learned what a loop is. I've learned the basic coding principles, but I have no clue what it does, right? And how it comes together for a website. But yeah, this is because the course only printed the code on a custom platform and didn't teach you where to upload it. Yeah, I know, the Dunnings are Krugering right now, but please, no snarky comments, I'm fragile. Aw. Would you mind explaining to me how and where I can turn the code into an actual domain? I've heard about GitHub and similar. Look! Somebody already told him also. GitHub pages. I'm not sponsored, by the way. But I'm not exactly. But if somebody, you know, I would take a sponsorship from GitHub. Okay. Moving on. But I'm not exactly sure how they work. Nevertheless, if there are drag and drop based sites, platforms you'd recommend. Oh my god, I'm sorry. It's so funny. The drag and drop platforms. Still, definitely drag and drop them below and I'll check them out. I'm not entirely opposed to them. Can I just say thank you very much for your clear and helpful responses? I've already got a good idea. Nice. The internet helped him. GitLab pages. Actually, does GitLab have that too? I wonder. You know, Brittle, we're joking, but I actually have no clue. Does GitLab also have a feature of host pages you can host for free? Shit, does it? Oh my god, it does! Or not? It does! Okay, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, right? in current times, this might be the better alternative, because in current times, GitHub uptime, I don't know how your guys' experience was, but GitHub uptime has been a disaster the recent month. Git T. Yeah, I don't like, the thing is, I've never not done it via GitLab, so I can't speak for that, but I can speak for GitHub that like the GitHub is definitely very simple, and it comes with a nice little deployment pipeline too. Actually, let me just check, because I'm not sure I can show you, so I have to like really like I have to check it quickly myself first, because I don't want to end up showing you something that I shouldn't. But I just want to check really quick on my own GitHub if I can show you the pipeline without it showing anything. Why is it? Okay, if I go here. Yeah, okay, I think this is fine to show. So, okay. No, why did it go into split view? Why does it? Shit. I'm sorry, Chad. I'll have it in a second. Okay, we'll just do it like this. Okay, there we go. You can know my GitHub handle, that is fine. But yeah, you can basically see here that you get basically a nice little GitHub pipeline, you know, and you can even do some own GitHub actions for free on it, right? Like, let's say, I need to, like, I actually had this, right? When I created my first like static export of it, I had some issue with the original links and stuff, so I just did a little action that would do some regexing on the links, you know, to fix the links. GitLab, yeah, I could imagine GitLab having it as well, but with Git I wouldn't be so sure. Bitbucket, I highly doubt, Sleepy, because Bitbucket is from Atlassian, and Bitbucket is like 20 years behind from last time I used it, which, to be fair, is now like 2 years ago or so. But also its focus is basically company only, right? So highly doubt Bitbucket has it, but maybe like from like last time I used it, very far behind when it came to like CI/CD, and also very company focused. Bitbucket seems like Minecraft modpack or modding site. Oh really? Okay. I mean, to be fair, with like GitHub has been like definitely under fire this year, like with a lot of like downtime and shit, right? And there is definitely right now like a window of opportunity for the other providers to kind of like, you know, get in there. But at the end of the day, you know, but like the actual like runners of GitHub and stuff is not so easy to replace, right? It's not so much about like everybody, like I like we could sit down now together and we could create a platform just to like manage your repositories and your code, no problem, right? That is not the difficult part. The difficult part is the hosting, the runners, the webhooks, the uptime. Like that is the actual like shit where GitHub is like just still miles ahead of everyone else. You But is Bitbucket even for free usable, Sleepy? Isn't it like Atlassian company only? Or do they have like now also free accounts? Like, that's the thing. We're talking about like free hosting, right? Free hosting. It is Minecraft site. No, no, it's not. I thought you were joking. It's not. Bitbucket, free account? Does it? I don't think it exists, or? Oh, okay, maybe it does. The thing is, you might have seen a different website, Shira, because Bitbucket is part of the Atlassian suite, which is like Jira, Confluence, and shit like that. I don't know if you've heard of it, right? But those are like pretty common tools. So I don't know what website you saw, right? Did you see this site? Like, I don't know. This is Bitbucket. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But this is okay. This is, listen, we have a live example here of what Sleepy just pointed out. Look, this is a free hosted Bitbucket website. The only one. Probably we found the one Bitbucket hosted static page, and it's a Minecraft page. Incredible. Okay. Rare trading card. Incredible. But yeah, the one Bitbucket static hosted page, yes. Oh my god. This sentence is correct. Put it on a computer that is accessible from the internet, but it is correct, but it's not what you actually want to do, at least not for your own computer. Yeah, but yeah, it looks like they got help. This is nice. I feel like also we've talked enough about it. But yeah, if and like, even if you're listening and you're like, I have no clue what this means, hosting it on GitHub or whatever, right? And like what these actions are, CI/CD, blah blah blah. This is where AI is like really helpful. AI is honestly really good at this, like very basic, creating like very basic static pages. It's really good at that. It can even like you can even like install GitHub tools like on your PC to do it all via command line, like setting up the repository, setting up the deployment. And if you have it all like via command line, it's even easier to do with AI. Yeah, exactly, Sleepy. It's like, yeah, this sentence is correct, but I would have not said this, right? Like, I didn't say this because I don't want to put this idea into people's mind that they should make their computer accessible to the internet. Yes, Shiro, I do use AI. And in fact, like, most of the developer world now uses AI. That might be like, to you, if you're not in IT, this might be shocking, or this might be even like something you feel opposed to. And I will tell you a little secret, right? Outside of dev work, no, not really, no. Yeah, the question is, how do you use AI? But before we go into that, right, I will give you a very important tip for your career right now. Even if you're opposed to AI, right, especially if you work in corporate, you have to pretend that you're the biggest AI fan, okay? You go out there, like, if you work a corporate job, an office job, a desk job, like, you tell everybody like what an AI guru you are and how you can improve your company over the next 5 years using AI processes. You are gonna become the AI guru of your company. And that way your job is going to be secured for the next 10 years. And then in the evening, you come back here where we have a safe space and where we can hate together on AI, okay? And you can thank me in 5 years for saving your career, okay? The pretending you use it a lot part is sadly so relatable, yeah. I struggle heavily with this. Lying isn't my strength. My theory is that common AI tools get worse all the time because 90% of users is basically Google. That is partially true too, Astralis. It's not just that. It's also like, for example, I've been using Claude now for almost a year, right? And I have like significant proof for Claude having become worse in parts. And this is due to how Anthropic has done things to try to optimize token usage, right? So there's different levels to why AI is getting worse, right? It's optimizations they are trying to do to reduce token usage. It's part of the learning, right? The self-feeding cycle. Like there's multiple reasons basically. But yes, some parts of AI are also getting worse for sure. I'm so bummed by all the build guides and PoE scene being AI generated pictures, etc. I mean, the thing is, Shira, right? Even before AI, there were a lot of lazy PoE build guides, right? They always existed. So, shocker, they still exist, and now they're even sloppier, right? Yeah, listen, the AI slop on YouTube is the worst shit ever, right? Like, and multiple, like it's not just the thumbnails, it's not just completely AI voiced videos. It gets even worse than that. I, as a German, whenever I accidentally open a browser in German, like my browser you can see is in English, my PC is set up in English and everything, but if I sometimes by accident I have a German browser somewhere and I access YouTube and I start a video, YouTube is giving you an AI generated YouTube, not a creator, right? YouTube is giving me an AI generated German dub of the video. It's the worst shit I've ever heard. It's way worse than the creators that put out actual like AI voiced videos, right? That isn't great either, but like this like AI generated on the fly German dub is like the worst shit I've ever heard. Yeah. Yeah, they don't even tell you that it's happening. Like I didn't even like I remember watching a video of like I think it was a French creator and it played in this German dub and that German AI dub even had a French accent, okay? It was like so surreal. Like it took me like 20 seconds to realize what was going on because I was like this sounds so wrong. Like, what is going on, right? Like, but it even like imitated like a French accent in German. Like, it was like fucking wild. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't even dare opening a browser in German anymore. Right? Like everything is in English set up for me. Like I don't even dare. I like maybe it's better now. Like guys, tell me when the internet is fixed, then I can open a German browser again. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, Astralis, you're a step further, right? You're a step deeper in basically. But yeah, the really like the reality is with the AI, right? AI is useful, especially in coding. It's but the thing is, the moment a developer completely relies on AI to code all their shit, um they become the person that is first replaced by AI, right? When I use AI, the main value I have as a developer is to um give the direction, but also B, recognize when AI does things wrong, like, takes wrong turns, but also like truly like know like what AI is good to use for and what not. It needs to stay a tool in your hands, right? Um and the people, like, I know, like, for juniors it's extremely demotivating because they obviously, like, it is true, AI is as good as you at that point in time because you don't have the experience. So for juniors right now it's really difficult, right? But at the end of the day, if you're just gonna let AI make the decisions and write all the code, then you are yourself redundant, right? And the main weakness of AI is that it makes poor decisions and it cannot, like, if it has very clear instructions, AI can do a lot of work for you. And like, I'm not advocating for not using AI in coding. No, like, I don't want to go back to not using AI at all either. But AI is not good at making actual complex decisions in terms of architecture, in terms of implementations. And AI, like, is at the end of the day just a very good autocomplete, right? um and it's just a dice roll, right? And you just have to think yourself about if you're like implementing a system that is handling payments and shit. Like, do you want to rely on the dice roll of the AI that it like rolled the right solution for your like system that you're working on, right? And at the end of the day, also, it's always important to understand that a problem that hasn't been solved, AI can never solve because it doesn't have the data for it. Yeah, AI can never replace actual thinking. And like, the thing is, yes, Asterel, as exactly as you say, no matter, and this is the thing, right? Like, we all, when we started AI, we were like, we just gotta write better specs. We just gotta, like, we just gotta describe it better. We just gotta be more detailed, right? Like, we're writing these meticulous specs, these meticulous requirements. But eventually we learned, right, that no matter how meticulous you are in writing your specs and in writing your requirements, the fucking AI is still gonna take at some point a left turn instead of a right turn because it's not deterministic, right? Like, so, like, for like, I don't know, for maybe 3 months or so, it took me, I like, and I mean, all of us did, right? We tried our best, like, just specking as hard as we could, right? But like, at the end of the day, like, you can write the perfect spec. The AI is non-deterministic. The AI will still fuck up, right? There is no, like, it's just not perfect. It just isn't. Like, even no matter, even if your spec, I mean, a spec being perfect is also questionable, but even if your spec is perfect, the AI isn't. Yeah, this is the funny thing. This is a very common joke currently too, right? Sleepy is how, like, now everybody like is writing like the markdowns with the specs and like like we're all like basically storing like commands for the AI, right? But like, we actually already had a language to tell the computer what to do, and it is the fucking programming language, right? Like, so we kind of like devolved, but yeah. Yeah, it's but yeah, again, my tip to save your career though, you need to be the AI hype of your company. Secure your job for the next 10 years. Astralis, it was nice seeing you. Have a beautiful sleep. Thank you, thank you. Shiro also out. Shiro, it was nice chatting to you. And yeah, maybe next time I know what I will exactly play. All I know for now is that it's probably gonna be Mercenary Cyan. It was fun indeed. Good night, Shiro. Good night. All right. Next one. Oh, yeah, this one I just saw. There are around 10 independent PDF engines. There's, by the way, I'm pretty sure way more than just 10. And I built a new one from scratch. And I just saw this and I was like, why? And how old are you? Brittle. There's also companies using the wrong kinds of AI for the job. Have you guys heard about the advanced Google Translate? Instead of a model trimmed for translations, it's just a Gemini wrapper. It's way less accurate. Yes, it does interpret instructions as it thinks it should do. Yeah, I mean, this is like also a result of people or companies or management level not understanding how AI works, right? Like this is generally like the biggest issue is that the general public does not understand how the AI works. Like the issue is even like, Asterals, you just used the word algorithm, right? Not for that, but still, people think our AI is based on a smart algorithm. It is not, right? It's just statistics. And unfortunately, we have a lot of it's not just management people not understanding AI. It's also like just fake solutions being sold. It's honestly a little bit of a gold digger era right now. Not just a little bit, right? This is a massive AI gold digger era, right? And there's just a bunch of like companies and people trying to get a slice of it, even though they know how fake some of the claims and some of the shit is, right? Like they know it. Like they know it very well. I believe they know, right? Like I sometimes like even like when I watch like speeches from like OpenAI or Anthropic, like I'm like, I don't know, do they really believe that? Or, because like at the end of the day, they are obviously making their money from the hype, so it is in their own interest to keep hyping it up beyond what it is. But yeah, I don't know, Anthropic, like it's really crazy sometimes when you see their speeches. Like it's really difficult to tell, like sometimes I'm like, wait, do they actually, like, maybe some of them actually do believe it, right? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that outside of it, there is a lot of people that are just trying to get a slice of the cake with fake AI solutions, fake AI hype, right? Like, the gold is the goal of trying. Yes, that is the gold. Exactly. It's pretty fucking sad, right? And like, this is funny, right? Like, or not funny. It's not funny at all. But from a social standpoint, careful, Sleepy. We're now going like, there's a little detour here, and it will border into politics, okay? But like, from a social standpoint, right? As a government, a government should have actually, like, should not want companies that to exist that don't give any value to the employees, right? And we kind of have this already happening where, like, you have people that have jobs, right, at companies, and they cannot live from the income of that job, right? And as a society, we should, like, that shouldn't exist, right? Because we should have no interest of a company existing that cannot sustain employees or the lives of its employees, right? And this is just like aggravating that to the max. I had already pre-typed my politics message but deleted it. Yes, exactly. Governments are meant to be there for it, but yeah, that's kind of not like how it went. Finance bros should have never been let anywhere near AI. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, like capitalism was built on the ideal that value is fairly paid and fairly rewarded. But instead, welcome to YouTube, Sleepy. Instead, we're having finance bros ruling the world, obviously. But yeah, anyways, this is just a short one. I'm not gonna read it, but yeah, he is a student. I just clicked on this because I was like, that must be a young person, and yes, it is a student. Because yes, reinventing the wheel. There's probably way more than 10 as well. But yeah. Obviously, if you're a student, do whatever you feel like. Like, this is not a critique, but also like when you're older, you're like, why are you reinventing the wheel? All right, old web devs. What are some things you did that would confuse people today? Using iframes or frame sets for sticky headers and navigation so you didn't have to reload the whole page. Oh. There's a lot of old shit that I could probably dig up. But the thing is, when you're like an old dev, I'm not that old, okay? Chill. I'm not that old. But when you're an old dev, you don't necessarily think of it that way, right? Because like obviously for me it makes sense what I did back then. I'm not sleepy. I'm not saying capitalism is all wrong, right? Like I also believe in the main principle of people that generate more value should also be more rewarded, right? I'm not of the mind of everybody should have the same no matter what they do. That way you don't have any incentive to do anything ever, right? Like I'm not a full capitalism hater, right? But like still like the ideal idea of like value being fairly rewarded and fairly evaluated in the system, that is an ideal that didn't like pan out the way that I think, you know, it's a capitalist ideal that didn't pan out basically. Using iframes at all feels wrong to me. Actually, in when I like this was even before I did my education back in school in informatics class, we did learn to make websites with iframes. Who else here still learned to make websites with iframes? Honestly, I wouldn't even be that shocked if somebody told me that they're still learning to make websites with iframes today in university because education is so far behind. I know, Sleepy, I know. Sleepy, we keep it at a drop per week, right? Flash animations. Wait, did you learn like Flash animations? Like, did you learn to action script back then? I actually did not learn any of that. But I learned something else, which was called, I think it was called like Web 3XD or something. It was like a Microsoft solution for animations in browsers that never took off. And it was older than Flash. I learned about them during my degree. I was never told to use them. Yeah. No, nobody uses that anymore. Okay, no, it's not true actually. There is still very rare cases of them being used, but today they're mainly used for tracking. You know, or ad banners, like stuff like that, right? Like actual external stuff. Yes, Flash. I mean, Flash, when I started my education, Flash was started to become more common for website animations, but at that point it was like only Flash games. It wasn't like really common for websites yet. Lockout in OIDC OAuth 2. Yeah, true. That is a thing too, I guess. but yeah, it's but I actually not too long ago had a project that still had a legitimate iframe solution that wasn't tracking, or like it actually was a company that had multiple sites, and they basically, were still like implementing modules from another platform they had built via iframes. So yeah, it really is still a thing. Ah, you made a Flash game? My god, I'm jealous. During my education, I like the I don't know, it was called like Web 3XD or something. I had to animate a, like, the task was to animate what is it called, like when you like bowling, the pins, the puppets, pins, are they called pins? But yeah, I had to animate a pin. A bowling pin. I never got to make any games, but yeah, that I remember was my task. And then in college, during my education, our tasks were all super boring. It was like, I don't know. I remember like just some like, and it was like honestly like super simple shit too. That was very far from what I was doing at work. Like I had to do a script for like fueling cars or something. I don't know. It was like, yeah, non practical stuff, honestly. You made a game in 11th grade. That is amazing. I mean, to be honest, like, and this is how I got into development anyways, right? I was super into RPG Maker games when I was like 12 years old. And I actually played around with RPG Maker at that age. And yeah, that is kind of how I got into coding, really. So technically, I was making games when I was 12 years old. Did I ever finish anything? Of course not. I was 12 years old. Right? I think the furthest I got was like a demo. Yeah, like all the assignments I had were super far from like the practical like work life later. But yeah. Um Now I'm thinking like, what is things I did that would confuse people today? I mean, okay, one thing, but I think this wouldn't even confuse people because I think all of you probably still know that. Back in the day, we would do web front end, like web UI with tables. I'm pretty sure, but I'm pretty sure like Sleepy and Brill, you two would still know of that, right? Maybe it's even still done in email templates, because I know in email templates it was still done for a long time. But basically, because tables were like an easy way of like aligning stuff, like left, right, center. Even though a website didn't look like a table, it was all actually built as a table. This is not web dev specific, but some newer developers get shocked by the concept of a programming language without garbage collector. You mean the other way around, like, right? Like, all the devs get shocked of languages without garbage collector. Or, oh no, you mean it that way, like, I have to take care of garbage collecting. Yeah, Brittle, I guess with 4 years you're like at a point where like it wasn't a thing anymore. But yeah, back in the day, it was all in tables. So I guess that's a pretty funny thing. And then like I know like so when I started, it was like Internet Explorer 5.5. Um and honestly, like it was like crazy what kind of workarounds you had to build back then to make the website look the same in Internet Explorer and Firefox and Safari, right? Like it's unimaginable today, right? Like but back then you actually had to do so much work to make them look the same in the different browsers. And today it's kind of like looks okay on Chromium, check mark, call it a day, right? Like it's done. Um and I know, like, I back then basically built like my own polyfills in JavaScript to make it work in Internet Explorer, right? And also there were some like very creative CSS solutions I would do to get certain effects. Like back then, for example, border radius wasn't a thing. You had to do border radius with background images, right? Um, which now is a thing. Shadows weren't a thing. You also would use background images for shadows. Like there's so many, like honestly, back in the day, back in the day, there was some creativity to doing CSS. And like nowadays, I don't even do that anymore, right? Like I don't do that at all anymore. And nobody gives a shit. We just have like Tailwind or whatever. We have like templating systems, right? Like we don't need to know all that shit anymore. We don't need to care about that anymore. We don't need to like there's so much stuff basically that you had to do back then that is now completely irrelevant. Yeah, you have to garbage collect. Yeah, that is true. For new devs, that is something they don't have to take up. But to be fair, Sleepy, I never really had to take care of that either. Yeah, the I learned in C sharp, right? Like my first backend language was C sharp, where you also don't have to do it. Then Java, you also don't have to do it. Like so I never like I know like and I've seen C code and I've also a little bit worked on it, but I never really had to do it myself either. Yeah, I think so. I think people that study definitely learn about garbage collection, right? I didn't study. I did an apprenticeship, is what it's called in Germany, which is like a mixed thing where you go to I like 3 to 4 times a year. I went to college for 2 to 3 weeks, and the rest of the time I was working. It's kind of like this dual thing where you go in between to college, but most of the time you actually work for a company. It's called an apprenticeship, and honestly, the college, like as I said, like the stuff we learned was super useless, very basic, very simple. Like I learned like 99% at the company and not at the college. Um but yeah, I never like a lot of the like theoretical stuff I did not learn because I never studied informatics. Uh I learned it over time by doing it basically instead. Yeah, like I like you definitely learn a lot more of like the theoretical stuff in university without question, right? Like there's a lot of stuff I didn't know. Do you mean bootstrap attributes? Yeah, but like there's a lot of stuff I didn't know when I started out as a developer because I never had that theoretical background, but I had a lot of practical background because not just did I do the apprenticeship, before the apprenticeship I had already been coding for many years as a teenager, right? But like basically my entry to coding was very different to people coming from university. I mean, I feel like that has nothing to do with the theory, to be honest. Maybe, I don't know, but to me it feels the same, Sleepy, right? Like I can do about any language now, right? Okay, there's definitely languages that are way more different than others, right? There's some languages that really try to break the norms, right? And they are very different. But those languages are usually also like more like from the sciences backgrounds, right? Used in university stuff, sciences stuff, right? When you like in application development, those kind of languages, they all are pretty similar. But yeah, um, it reminds me that I like recently like read a post of somebody who was like, wait, which language was it? I don't know, but like they were talking about like having written their own language, and they started explaining that they did their own language because they were like, you know, I've tried every language and I just had an issue with every language I tried. Like, and I don't know, it was like, it's like sometimes people tell on themselves by the shit they spew, you know? Like, there's just like no way you're trying like these different programming languages as a beginner and you're like, oh, I'm missing this feature in this language, right? Like, I don't know, like, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes people like tell so hard on themselves on being like just full of shit. I don't know. Yeah, no, I get that, Sleepy, but like I think there's more to it too because like there's also different like learning types. Yeah, the language is wrong, not me. Like, oh my god. But yeah, um the the only time the language is wrong is if it's PHP. Okay, Brittle, what language are you doing, eh? If you're now being like, oh, I'm doing Java, I like I'm gonna like lose my shit. If you're trying to shit on PHP doing your Java. I think the only at work, okay, if you're using PHP yourself, then you're allowed to shit on it. But honestly, like here's the thing, right? I think PHP was really bad up to PHP 6. But ever since like PHP 7 or so, it's honestly been pretty good. Like the thing is, right, like what would you do rather than PHP? And there isn't much that comes to mind. Like I think the only language that is like more modern now is C sharp, right? Like, but like here's the thing, you're saying object oriented languages, right? But PHP now has all the features in terms of like classes, like some things are not as good well implemented. Like I would say like a main thing I think that is kind of still poorly implemented in PHP is traits, right? But like generally you have everything or like when it comes to inheritance, to like classes, like interfaces, like you have everything, you have every tool in the book, right? Traits are kind of poorly implemented because it's just basically it just copies the code over, and obviously yes there is like the type, the internal type system, right, is not actually like, it's not actually like type strict like a C sharp is, right? But when you're saying like object oriented, PHP comes with everything and more, right? Like it actually like beats like Java and stuff like in that term, right? I don't think PHP is pretty, don't get me wrong, right? Like I do not like I think like when it comes to like callables and shit, right? Like the way you write it in PHP is not pretty. C sharp is prettier, right? But you have all the tools when it comes to like object oriented programming. Like you can do a full blown microservices, whatever the fuck you want, right? Like everything is there. Yeah, I do think traits is probably the weakest thing in PHP. The type system is a lie. The thing is, yes, it is a lie, but like, okay, here's the thing, right? Like when you do TypeScript and JavaScript, you know the type system there is a lie, right? And there's just miles between, right? Like, and I even like TypeScript, right? Like, because on paper, again, same argument. On paper, you can make something better with TypeScript. In reality, it almost never happens, right? But like if you're working in bigger projects, right? But my whole point is just in TypeScript and JavaScript it's a massive lie, right? Like in PHP, it's sort of a lie too, right? But it doesn't actually matter if you're able to enforce it. And I would argue with PHP, you're pretty well able to enforce it. Object orientation is also a lie. It is. It is. Um, like but here's the thing, right? If we argue on that level, and this is something I also only learned like a little bit later, right? But like if we argue on that level, like object orientation is a lie, type safety is a lie, right? Then honestly, every language is telling us a lot of lies, and we should all just be writing C, right? Because like if when you actually start like understanding languages a little bit better, because yeah, then you see, wait, the way traits are implemented in PHP is a lie, right? And like, you know, you will find all these little lies, right? Like, but like what actually matters in the end is whether it can be used in a proper way and whether it is consistently not a problem, basically. And traits, I would argue, in PHP are a problem, right? But like, I don't know, like in the more modern PHP projects I've worked on, we've had very solid object oriented architectures and structures, and we also were able to enforce full type safety, be it through extra CI/CD and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, but I'm also I will also say I've become extremely flexible over the years, working both in fully functionally written applications and object oriented applications. I'm not as hardcore on one side or the other anymore. All that I care about is consistency, right? If you write it functional, then have a consistent functional architecture. If you write it object oriented, then have a consistent object oriented architecture, right? Like that is what in the end what matters, that it is consistent and understandable, and that you try your best to keep it easily maintainable even for less experienced developers. Like one of the big things I've learned is that things that I deemed beautiful when I was less experienced, right? Because they like I really liked it conceptually. I felt like you could create something really beautiful with it. Has fallen flat because of the fact that at the end of the day, it will always be too complicated for junior developers. And like at the end of the day, you have to accept that something that might seem like a beautiful solution is worth nothing if it can never be well maintained in a big team. Yes, exactly. It needs to be maintainable. So that the most important pillar for everything is maintainability. It doesn't matter if it's object oriented. It doesn't matter if it's functional. It just needs to be understandable, maintainable. That's all. Sami, that's a nuanced take. You can't make a rant that gets clicks with that kind of attitude. Do you think I would generate more clicks if I like just like, you know, this week I'm making a rant, like an anti-functional rant, and next week I'm making an anti-object oriented rant? You think that would be the better content strategy? I often end up in the debug just to check the fields an object has. Yes. And you know what, Brittle? You'll do that whether the code is written, the architecture is functional or object oriented. Nothing changes about that. I mostly work with complex calculation, and being understandable is our biggest hurdle. Yeah. No, like I actually have a nice example. I don't know if you guys are I mean, I think Sleepy is probably familiar with it. RxJS, you know, is Angular's like state management basically. It's a system, right? Where you have like observables. It's basically, it was meant to be the solution for like data fetching and stuff. And observables are a beautiful concept. You basically subscribe to them, right? Like you put your data from an API into an observable, and then you can even also manipulate that observable, and your components can subscribe to these observables. And it's I love the concept of RxJS, right? I think you can make beautiful solutions with it. Basically, you can think of it like as an of a state management solution for the front end, right? Basically, instead of your components all individually like requesting this resource from the server, you have like a service in the front end, a front end service, right, that holds the observables, right? And your components just subscribe to that observable, and when the observable is updated, all your components get the updated data, right? And that is like a state solution. However, the more popular front end state solutions ended up being Redux, which is for React mainly, but it was adapted for Angular as well, right? And Redux is also based on like, how do I hold the data in a central place in my front-end app, right? So I can update it everywhere when it changes. But instead, it's like based on like having like kind of like a system of like, I'm trying to keep this simple, right? But like basically you have a system of like actions, and like it is honestly like, when you like explain what it does, it sounds more complicated. However, the way on how to use RxJS with the observables ends up being the concept that in my experience, like in all the projects I've been, like 90% of developers do not understand what observables are and how to work with them, right? And it's like one of those things that I have had to learn over time. I think RxJS, like the concept of RxJS with the observables, is way prettier than Redux and the, you know, the actions and the event chain Redux builds, right? And you have also actually more possibilities of what to do with observables. They are way more flexible. But at the end of the day, the system that won, right? The state management that won is the action-driven system that Redux, and there's other state store solutions, right? Like it's called basically stores, right? They won at the end of the day, and I had to kind of like learn that even solutions that on paper, when properly used, are the prettier solutions, are useless and worthless if your junior devs in a bigger project cannot understand them, right? Of course, it depends again. Like if you're working in a small team with competent people, right, and you all can agree on like doing it that way, and everybody understands, then you can do whatever the fuck you want, and you can go for the beautiful technology that you all like, right? But whenever like I worked on a lot of client projects, being like in bigger teams, right, like you have to just go for, even if it's not as pretty, right, you have to go for what people know and understand. Yeah, exactly, Sleepy. Observables were treated like magic in 90% of the cases. Don't get started on telling people the difference between hot versus cold observables and uni versus multicasting. Yes, yes. Okay, this is actually so funny, Brittle, because I used to be that passionate, crazy lady, right? That was like drawing like on whiteboards the observable because I wanted to get everybody on my side. I was like, here, look at that, like, and there's like this is actually I mean, the website surely is still like, the beautiful RxJS website, right? And then like they actually, and I mean, they did so much, right? Like, oh my god, I still love RxJS, but don't tell anyone, right? But like they actually had this beautiful thing. Do they still have it? Oh yeah, operator decision tree, right? I would even tell people, here, look, like um here they even made a fucking decision tree for you to decide what operator you need, right? Like, okay, I have no observable yet, and I want to create a new observable, and I don't know. It's they did so many things to try to get you on board. But yeah, I was basically. But yeah, also like, okay, let's just go here. Okay, no, this is not a good example. Let's just here. See, and every operation has like a graphic like this, right? Where you see how the data in the observable comes together, right? And how it comes out. But I'm like pretty sure that for most people, it actually, the concept dies at this point, because most people look at this graphic and they go like, right? I think this is the reason RxJS is dead. They should have drawn it, I don't know, maybe they should have drawn it vertically instead. Maybe that would have worked better. I don't know. But I just learned over time that when I tried to explain it, that people would like not understand these graphics. Yeah. You can get some people with a decision tree to it for sure. Basically, it's showing like the different sources, right? So concat combines them, right? So you have here one source that has AB, and you have here one source that has XY, and it just shows that they will come out in one stream. Like, an observable is one stream basically, and like, this is honestly pretty simple actually. It just looks more complicated than it is, right? But all that concat does is it takes two streams and it emits them as one stream. No, I'm confident you could learn it too, Sleepy. Yeah, this is just explaining how the concat works on a the concat operator works. Like, basically, the beautiful thing is, right? And if you understand this, you kind of like will start to understand also like how you can combine like what the idea is, right? An observable, like, you can basically, you have the observable, and there's a bunch of different operators for you to manipulate the data, right? You can filter on it. You can, here, like, concat is you combine it with another stream of data, right? And the way you can think about it is, you can have an API endpoint that returns like a list of items, right? And then you can have a bunch of different observables that filter the data, put the data different ways together, and then you can basically, right, you subscribe to those observables, and when the source changes with these items, all of those different data observables based on those items automatically update with including those mutations, right? Like, filter, I think, is one of the easiest ways to understand that the usefulness of it, right? Because you could, for example, say, I only wanna I only want to display the items that are active, right? So you have a filter operator behind the observable that filters out the active ones, right? And when the source updates in the component, you automatically always only get the active ones because you have that filter on the observable, basically. That's kind of like I think filter is like a very easy way to understand it. But yeah, there's also a map operator where you actually map through and you make changes to the data before it gets into goes to the component, right? Like and there's also you can also combine different API endpoints, right? You can say, oh, I have my API endpoint for the items, and here I have my API endpoint for stores, and then I bring them together and I combine them to a data source, an observable that the components basically use to display data, right? Like it is a really actually like a really elegant, nice way to abstract an API into the data your app wants. Yeah, it is like working with streams. Yeah, it's filter and map are the easiest ones to understand. Yeah, it is like thinking about streams. There is like, but yeah, once you get comfortable with it, like there's some really cool things you actually can do, right? And also you can chain observables, right? So now I have my observable here that has active items in store X, right? And I don't know, now I might like in this component, like I might want another subset of that data. Like, I don't know, items that are in the back room, right? So I can chain another observable, right, that filters to those items in the back room. And again, like whenever the source on top updates, all these observables basically emit the updated data with those operations that are chained into them. I'm not comfortable, but I see the potential. Yeah. No, it's beautiful, honestly, but unfortunately, I have learned that in big projects, it's not a thing that works. It's not a thing that works. It works in small projects though. Like I'm still a big fan of it. If I work on something myself, I will use it, right? And I will also use it in small teams. But when I go into like big projects with a lot of developers of a lot of different experiences, it's usually a bad idea to use because like unless I can really like make sure I'll be there for the whole fucking time giving RxJS lessons every week, right? Like then maybe, but no. It's like, but like again, like this is like a perfect example of where I've learned like even though something is really cool conceptually, it doesn't mean it's actually a good or the best thing, unfortunately. Like and I mean it makes sense, right? If you work in big projects, you need to think about the average Joe, basically, right? What would the average Joe understand? That needs to be your goal on big projects. It's front end sorcery. The funny thing is it's front end sorcery, but the concept here, right? This is data level, like data or not data level, data layer, right? Data layer front end is extremely similar to backend, right? I'm a full stack developer. I do have more front end expertise than backend, but I still do both, right? And I've been also a backend developer on many projects, and like this magic here that you're seeing here that is now in the front end used to be in the backend. Back in the day, this used to be in the backend, right? But now we have like, because we now have like single page applications and we have like all this data being handled on the front end, this has basically moved over to front end, right? But still like the like data streams, updating data, transforming data, mapping data, these are things that happen both in front end and back end. They're very similar. I want this in the back end. Well, here's the thing, right? Like Sleepy, and you might still have it in the back end. Okay, so you might look at this and be like, why is this in the front end, right? But like, let's say you're developing an API. Yeah, no, Brittle is on point. You will have it in both. Because the thing is, right? If you're developing an API, I mean, this depends. Often also an API is only developed for one app. But if you're developing an API, which is meant to be a data source for multiple apps and websites, right? Then that will be the API's focus AI. The API's focus will be to output that data, but not specifically to the way this one front end app or site or whatever would like to display it, right? So you will build your API, and then the front end app will consume the API, but they will still always need a layer that shapes the data the way they need it for their app, right? That will always be like so. And even like in the case where you develop that API specifically for this website, even then you will still have like a simple layer of mapping, right? Like you might not do a full transformation of the data anymore, but you will still have a mapping layer in the front end. And the main reason for that is that you're now having all the requests, etc., happen asynchronously in the front end, right? And you want like when this like request happens, you know, some data comes back, some new data. You want all your components on the side to update with the new data without having to reload the site. If you want it to be only in the backend, the only way to do that is old school site that actually reloads, right? With a server request. Or you send the whole template back. That is a way too. But if you did a second backend just for this. Yeah. There is so there is different solutions, but this is honestly also the most this is honestly like the most interesting part to me also about front ends, right? And I think also the most crucial part about front ends is how is the data updated across my app, right? This is exactly what we were like RxJS tries to solve, what Redux tries to solve, right? Like how do we keep the data in sync, right? And funnily enough, we've kind of come full circle back to server-side rendering. So we're almost back there where it's in the backend Sleepy, but even with the modern server-side rendering is actually like still having a front-end technology run in the backend. Like for example, like if you look at Next.js or Nuxt.js, those are like on white or view built front-end frameworks that come with a Node server, so they come including server-side rendering, but not the kind of backend you wanted to build. It's Node. Right? But yeah. Front-end data management for me was always, yeah, but that's not the case anymore, no. Even if you have a perfectly fine API. Look, here's the thing, right? If you build a front-end app, right? Even if you have a perfectly fine API from the back end, right? You still, because it's an external system, you still need to validate that what you get from the API is still what you expect. Because what if tomorrow that endpoint returns something different, right? So you will still implement a data layer in your front-end app, even if it's very simple, but you will still do a simple, hey, this is my API type, this is my app type, even if they're the same, right? They might be the same, right? But like you will still do that. You will still do that simple mapping just to catch any drifts. You catch my drift? But yeah, of course, also Sleepy, of course, you also have bad APIs. Like, I'm not saying, like, you still also have bad APIs, right? For sure. But even if the API was perfectly fine, you would still want your, you still need a data layer in the front end, right? There's also another reason you want that, right? Is because, like, hey, again, like, now that you have, like, basically all these, like, web applications, right, with components, updating all on the same view, etc., right? You also want to, like, share a type in the front end just how you want to do it in the back end, right? Like, if I get my item here from the backend API, right? um I, in my front end, also want all my components just to use that same type, right? Like, you want that convenience as well. That's usually, like, not always. Like, you also have, like, very, like, massive front-end applications where you don't give a shit and every component just does its own thing, right? But, like, that does can grow out of control, but it can also be on purpose unique like that. It's a bit of a rabbit hole. It's a bit of a rabbit hole. Like, I for example worked on an application with GraphQL where actually every component had its own GraphQL query and its own data type, which basically allowed you to build your own thing for every component. But also it meant that every updating that needed to happen on other components had to be done manually, right? Like, the main thing is, if you do it all individually, you will have to do all the updating manually too. Just think about this, Sleepy, right? So you have, and that this is like modern applications, right? Like, so you have, like, up here on your web app a form, right? Where you add, let's say you can, like, add navigation items, right? And links left is the navigation, right? So what you want in the modern web app is, if you add the navigation item here, it should immediately pop up on the left in the navigation without you reloading, right? So if you now, in your component, just individually were fetching the data and sending the data, then you would also have to manually update the navigation on the left, right? So these kind of, like, state solutions we're talking about, like with RxJS and Redux, where you have a central store, they centralize the data exactly so you don't have to do that anymore. So that if I update something here, it also updates there automatically. And for that to work, you need a shared object basically across your whole application, right? And that means also a shared data type across your whole application for that navigation item. And that is why modern front-end apps all have a data level, no matter how good or how bad your API is. And that is honestly also the most interesting thing these days about front end. Like, I don't care about doing templates and styling and, like, like, I don't know. AI is pretty good at that, actually. Like, honestly, when it comes to templates and styling, you can just let AI have a go at it. And if it's bad, you can throw it away and one-shot it again. Sleepy, what you wrote, see, like, I don't even know. The guy literally used dot as his symbol to separate strings and then realized he also had dot as a valid symbol in string and used another symbol as a placeholder, which then also ended up. I don't even know I follow what you're saying. Yeah, but it sounds fucked up. But also made up their own alternative to JSON. But yeah, you probably have not seen good front ends. I'm sorry, but honestly, it's not so uncommon, Sleepy. Like, um, there is many people living in the back end, right? That still live like in the back end versus front end from like 10 to 20 years ago, and they have no idea about like because like the reality is that in many modern projects now actually front end has taken over a lot of the data complexities, and there's many projects where the backend is honestly a pretty simple dumb REST API, right? And you have like most complexity actually in the front end, right? Like it has completely shifted. And yeah, there's people that live like in the world from like 10 to 20 years ago where they still think front enders are doing HTML, CSS, and they think they're the shit. But it's like not so true anymore actually in modern projects. I thought I was annoyed by people using formatted strings to model data instead of just using a new property in a JSON object. Yeah, I know. But yeah, there is a lot of rabbit holes. Lots of rabbit holes. See, I had completely forgotten already how we got here. But yeah, old web devs. I don't care if you use AI. Oh, no, no, no. We already had the AI topic. But yeah, the title is good. The title is good. You know what? I think we went through enough for today. Basically the guy used dot as a separator, then used oh wait, the double dot to represent dot, and then used something else to represent. Holy shit, okay. Yeah. I actually have a really fucked up case for observables too, but I'm not sure Sleepy will really understand how fucked up it is. I'm not sure Brittle either. Both aren't like really front end people. But like I was on a project where somebody had used observables for triggering an edit button, which is like so outlandish of a use case. So what do you mean? Well, you said you're doing PHP. I don't know. It sounded like didn't sound like that front end heavy. You turned yourself into PHP guy, okay? So what they basically did was well, okay, the way observables work, you can turn anything you want into an observable, Sleepy, right? At the end of the day, an observable is just a data stream, or basically uh you create a subject of data, right? So what they did so yeah, wait. So what he did basically, he created a subject, right? A subject is basically the data stream that he called edit action, right? And then on click of the edit button, he would submit a new value to the subject with the string edit, right? And then he subscribed to the observable, right? And would check when a new value arrives, and that value is called edit. I open the edit form. I navigate to the edit form. Right? It's like so fucking outlandish. Like it's so far away from what observables were ever intended to be. And also like you know, no matter what fucking framework you use, the way to handle an edit button is like you do a fucking on click, okay? Be it add click, on click, click in parentheses, right? Like every framework has it, okay? This was an Angular, right? Like ng click, I think. Angular ng click, right? Like I see. So you're also full stack, Brettle. Here, full stack high five. But yeah, basically what he was like, it's, I don't know, like, it's so weird because it's like usually, again, people do not understand observables, but then also because they don't understand them, they don't use them, right? But like using it at, like, as a fucking like a subject for like an edit button, the crazy thing about that is also like the edit button is never gonna be anything else but the fucking edit action, right? There's no reason to make it asynchronous. There's no reason for it to have a stream, because there's never gonna be any other value but like I click the fucking button. No, even if it's like, okay, yeah. Okay, no, you are right. If it was like, okay, I'm actually reacting to the edit form being opened, but it's nothing like that, right? Like it's just a navigate, right? There is no like I would agree if maybe the edit form was like in a dialogue or something, right? And you wanted to as you say, react to different actions triggering a dialogue, but it was a navigate, okay? It was a navigate to the edit view. Like it was not a dialogue or anything. And also like the way it was implemented is like was just like terrible, right? Like just like it puts in the string edit, there's no enum or anything, it's just string edit, then a hard comparison on the edit string in the like it was just bad. Yeah, you're a DevOps now, Sleepy, for sure. Well, it really depends where you work, Sleepy. They do still have their legitimacy to be separated. Yeah. Like listen, I will say this. I think good developers should understand a little bit of everything from the other sides too, right? Like to me, honestly, to me, like a senior backend developer that has no clue whatsoever about front end or DevOps cannot be a senior backend developer. There are people that call themselves that, but to me, you cannot be a senior if you have no fucking clue what's going on in the other areas. Because especially like if you're doing like APIs and shit, like excuse me, you should know a little bit about what's going on in the infrastructure, what's going on in the front end to build the best solutions. Right? Yeah, like to be honest, like on my in my previous company, my title was a senior software engineer, so we didn't specify either. And now in my new company, my title is staff software engineer. It's not specified either. However, yeah, you need to understand the other side. However, I do still see myself primarily as a front-end engineer. Even though it's not specified. At the end of the day, it kind of depends on the project, but I do know, and I definitely have way more expertise in front end than in back end. But I am also competent with some backend frameworks and some backend technologies, and it depends on what I need to do, right? Like when it comes to building REST APIs, I'm pretty experienced, right? On the backend side, but but I wouldn't like sell myself as like a back-end microservice architect, right? Like I wouldn't do that. No. I had a really fucked up student project where we had a backend and front end team. Backend team was of the firm opinion that just returning the models was a good API. What you like? I mean, to be honest, it's pretty realistic though, right? They were just lazy as fuck. Like with the Spring, returning models in a REST API is like 5 annotations or so. Like it's literally done in 10 minutes. Man, like the degree to which like Spring has like deteriorated over the years of like just everything being annotations is kind of insane. I just want to solve math problems. How did I get here? Yeah, don't become a developer if you want to do math, honestly. But yeah, anyways, good stall, chat, good stall. I'm gonna head off. My throat is actually starting to get tiresome. They were, but it slowed down everything so much because the front end had to query a shit ton of IDs individual even across the fucking pivot tables. Yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, this is actually brilliant. It's actually a thing that still happens in productive projects a lot, right? This is exactly that backend developer that has no idea of front end, right? Um, like they don't understand that they're supposed to build an API that is usable, like that actually helps the front end, right? Like this is like a thing. Like honestly, I see that a lot in projects where like APIs are just like blurping out one to one their data structure, right, without any design thought put into what you actually wanna display, what you actually like wanna output, right? Can I use backend dev as an insult then? I don't know what the front end does is such a backend dev. I know that sounds like very weird. Yeah, no, Brill, but there is like, unfortunately, yeah, projects exactly like that, right? Like, let me just, do like these 10 requests and then like put it all together. Like, and I mean, you have, sometimes, the perfect storm comes together where you have like that shitty API, right? And then also in the front end they are basically treating it with the same idiocracy kind of, where they're like, okay, let me do like these 10 requests, and then they build like a massive data object in the front end that they just pass into the whole application, right? I've seen that a lot too. Like, and then you have, and like in the front end, like just this massive object of like all the data. That's just like, and like, it's not even like, it's not even that like, you have that massive data sitting here central and components like kind of like take it from a service. No, that massive object is like passed down component by component as a prop, right? Dual data binding for the win. Like, I've seen like some really crazy shit. That object probably has the most beautiful variable name in the backend. No, that doesn't exist in the backend. Like, that's the thing. Like, you have like this API, right? And the front end has to do like 10 requests to get all the data they want. And they do that do all the 10 requests, collect all the data, put them into a massive object, and then like just pass it through component by component. But yeah, I've seen that too. Like sometimes like you have this beautiful storm like just coming together, and honestly it feels like what is the word? Like there's a Reddit for that too. The malicious compliance, that's what it feels like. Yeah, network bean factory bean. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna go to bed now. It was very fun today. Thank you for the little IT hangout. We actually didn't even, like, I thought hadn't opened enough, but we didn't even make it through everything. So I guess we can continue with the others tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm, for once, not raiding. So tomorrow I will stream again. Hope you dream of beautiful APIs. Everything perfectly sanitized. But I'm now thinking like if I've ever seen a project, and I'm like a bigger project, okay? No small hobby projects don't count. A bigger project that's had both a good API and a good front end data layer. I don't think it exists. I think it's a that's and like if I find it, I think at that point I can retire. But yeah. All right. Good night. Thank you for hanging out. See you tomorrow. Just check. Yeah. I said big project, Sleepy. Not the tiny weeny project. Sorry. But yeah. Good night. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.